Hello, this is the Tradesight U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Tuesday, the 21st of October, 2014. Hope you're having a great trading week. We started the week off solid. Got winners in the Forex market, the futures market, and three or four great plays in the stock side as well with no losers. So it's been a great start to the week. It was a little slow, though. Volume was a real drop off from what we've been seeing. I'll show you that in a minute. But we did just start a new option cycle, so we kind of expect that to be a little slow. And we are heading into the biggest 3 days of the core 8 days of earnings. And that's always a different type of environment. Obviously, we just had Apple report after the bell. It's up a little bit here so far. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the most, especially Thursday. We'll have the most earnings releases. So there's a lot of hurry up and wait for those announcements, and then we can get free of that and get back to work for the rest of the year. So here's a look at the ES. This is the front month futures contract of the S&P 500. It did rally today and is showing a gap up currently for tomorrow. We'll see where we actually land with that by the time we get to tomorrow's trading. Here's the NASDAQ side. Also got a bounce today. Actually, let's look at the NDX. Let's do it this way. Also got a bounce today after gapping up on Friday. So far things look good in both the indices. But we are just retesting essentially the 10 EMA, which is the light blue line that you see. And we'll see if we can hold that level or not and get back above it in either case. So that's a key area to test since we've had that sell-off, that sharp sell-off over the last week or so. Here's the semiconductor index, kind of made it to new highs for the last week or two. There's the biotechs trying to come back up. Look how it bounced right off of that red static trend line. Look at Google. Got a bounce today, late in the day. Didn't do too well early on, so it's prevented itself from breaking the new lows or recent lows for the year after with a lot of new Google products coming out. Here's the Apple. Again, it was up a point or two in the aftermarket after earnings came out. Take a look at crude oil, which continues to hover near the low 80s at 82.97 for the close, and gold pushing recent highs on the gold index. Here's a look at the NASDAQ volume, and you can see we only trade 1.56 billion shares today. That was way off of what we've seen the last week or two. We were up over 2 billion shares almost every day in the last week or two, and now we're suddenly back to the lowest of the month, actually. But again, keep in mind, this is much more normal than what we saw over the summer. So you had some action, you had some activity. Obviously, the volume picks up when the market kind of tanks like it did. But here we are, that we have that options expiration. First day of a new option cycle is a little late, typically. Sure enough, here we had it, in the lightest volume day of the month. Doesn't mean that'll hold for tomorrow. I'm sure Apple's going to trade a lot of volume tomorrow after earnings. We'll have some more earnings before the bell, and then a bunch of big ones after the bell. So probably get volume back up the rest of the week, and then get out of this earnings environment. But at any rate, it's not a bad number. 2.23 billion is the 10-day average of volume. That's obviously the biggest of the year, essentially, way above anything that we saw back in the first half of the year, which was still solid, above 2 billion shares. So nothing to complain about from that perspective. Let's take a quick look at the futures and 5-minute time frame and see what they did here on Monday. And again, pretty much a flat opening and just a drift. We used the View app as support twice, once late morning and once over lunch, and drifted higher, and then closed near the highs. It was just a drift, though, real calm and mellow compared to some of the action we've seen lately. Again, I think because the options were just starting out the cycle, and because people were waiting to see what Apple was going to do. Here's a look at the NASDAQ side. The NDX overall gained 54. The S&P gained 17. Here's the NASDAQ side. Again, mostly a drift, but it did pick up some speed later in the day. So that's it. We'll be looking... We've got a few long ideas for the morning in our report already. We'll be looking at the rest in the Twitter feed. Everybody have a great week, and we will be in the trading lab to help you make money. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal.